Why you don't get all the views for having Wait, Hangouts is going away later.
Oh no, later this year.
No.
Wow. Getting this news live on the podcast. What are we gonna do? Welcome to From the Ground Up. Thank you so much for being here. Did you get a fly in your wine already?
A hair.
A hair. Excellent. Even better.
I was gonna try to do it silently, but you brought it up.
Theportcitypythons.com. We have shirts available as well as different reptile accessories, sphagnum moss, as well as I lost my train of thought. I got distracted. But we have stuff on the website. Port City Pythons. We have babies that are coming up this summer. And we have a Patreon account. And it would be great if you could support us to make more of these podcasts. And this week, we do not have a guest, but we are talking about something that happened over the weekend. I went on a rattlesnake hunt. But first, I want to talk about the fact that yesterday I was on a live stream with Deadly Tarantula Girl. So if you could check out her channel and check out the live stream, that would be sweet. I think it was a little bit of a different perspective of maybe contrasting to other interviews I did and talk pretty specifically about corn snakes. So if you guys want to check that out, and then we will probably have them on the show soon as well. We will cross it back over. So thank you to them for having me on, and I'd love it if you guys checked it out. And so, rattlesnakes. This weekend in Noxen, Pennsylvania, there is a Rattlesnake Roundup. And unlike the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup that we went to in 2017, if you want to learn more about that, we have a podcast about it. And we also have a very gruesome video if you don't mind watching it, because at Sweetwater, they typically slaughter anywhere from like 10,000 pounds to almost 20,000 pounds of rattlesnakes each year. And they're collected from, mostly in West Texas, but all this other stuff. And I don't want to get too much into it, but basically that's a pretty ruthless event. And this one in Noxen, PA is actually a no-kill event.
And it's very educational.
Yeah, so it's super educational base, and therefore we had a guy who just pretty much came to us at a reptile show. And so thank you to Alan who invited us out. And, Melissa didn't go, but I went.
I was invited, but if he knew me better, he knew that was a no-go for me.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty rough day for you, I believe.
I was after your pictures and everything and the amount of time you spent outside. I was very thankful that I didn't go.
Yeah, I definitely got sunburn and chiggers.
Yeah.
Which I've never gotten chiggers before, so that's cool.
I got chiggers. But does this roundup have as much like acclaim as the Sweetwater? Like, do many people know about it or not really?
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about the hunt first and then get into that. But yeah, it's definitely super, super different. And it's a much smaller event for a few different reasons. But so Alan invited us after just seeing us at a reptile show. And he knew that we had previously gone to other rattlesnake roundups and we were interested in things like that. So he was nice enough to say, hey, like I do this every year. He has the permits to go on the proper land on this specific mountain that's what?
Finish your sentence and then
you can't put your finger up near my face and
we can't do the tap. I guess we can't do the tapping thing.
So he basically had all of that covered, and he lives just 15 to 20 minutes away from where we herped. And what were you gonna ask?
Okay, so someone asked this on a message on Instagram, and I'm wondering it too, and I don't think you know the answer, but maybe someone who's listening does. Why is the venomous snake permit through the fishing thing?
So I think it's a little bit less of a barrier. For the hunting, you need to be federally certified in a hunting course and all this stuff. So in the state of Pennsylvania, you can get a license to either collect or kill one rattlesnake or copperhead a year. So therefore, what you need to do is just go to, your Dick's Sporting Goods, your Walmart, wherever they give out licenses, or you can do it online as well. And basically just buy a fishing license, which has zero prerequisites.
That's what I just don't get it. Why do you have to buy the fishing if you're going?
It's just a different way to tax you. But it's also they equate it to more, I guess, more like that for whatever reason. I'm not sure exactly why it is. It's probably political semantics that we don't really care for. But
okay, so you have to get the fishing permit first.
Yeah.
And then
you go and get your rattlesnake permit. And I should have brought it up here so I could have.
Oh, so a specific rattlesnake permit.
Yeah. So
I thought it was like venomous.
Well, it does cover copperheads as well, but it's literally called the rattlesnake permit. So, and that will allow you to take one male rattlesnake that's over 42 inches. So, and if you guys don't know, and I didn't know until I went, but timber rattlesnakes can get pretty freaking big. But 42 inches is a well into breeding age male.
They don't want you to take like babies.
Yeah, they don't want you to take young males, and they don't want you to take females. So
you can't take females at all.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to the way that they use, hunting for white-tailed deer. The way that they're able
know those things.
to properly conserve them is the fact that you shoot bucks. You shoot males that preferably are large. They have a lot of antlers and stuff like that. And
so
these are males who have already had the opportunity
in the animal world. The males are the lowest of the totem. Well, no,
those older animals have already gotten their opportunity to pass on
to breed
their genes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so therefore, I mean, you're kind of, in some cases, I guess you're culling a very strong animal, and then in other cases, you're culling an older animal So
I get it. Women and children. You say women and children. That's always the go-to.
But there's basically biologists who study this that say, this is how many deer tags we give out this year. We give out so many doe tags, so they can actually, some people will get the opportunity to kill a female deer. And
oh, really?
Yeah,
Do you have to be like special to kill a female?
I'm not 100% sure.
Or do you just pay more money?
It's definitely something a little bit special. Yeah, I don't think everyone gets one, but I'm not sure what the prerequisite to get one is. And I think it varies from state to state. Some states I'm sure are like kill whatever because they're probably overrun with deer. So it depends on a state-to-state basis. So the state of Pennsylvania, their state biologist, whatever conservation biologist, deems the fact that rattlesnakes can be harvested at the rate of one a year over 42 inches. Yeah. And to be honest, I think that that's pretty fair from what I saw. And keep in mind, no one was killing rattlesnakes where we were. Like, there's not, if you go to the right spot, there's not exactly a shortage of timber rattlesnakes in Pennsylvania. And
so it's like you could have killed it if you wanted to. You had the permit to, but no one is killing them out there.
Right. Yeah. There's no one really eats them out here, it seems. It's not like Sweetwater where they'll like fry them up. And it doesn't seem like there's anything to do with the skins, or even at the Rattlesnake Roundup, there wasn't any like rattlesnake parts for sale or anything like that. Like none of that bullshit that, Sweetwater's full of that stuff.
Right.
So there was really no incentive to do anything with the animals. And everyone was like really following the rules for real because there's other people watching you and everyone wants to be a good sportsman about it. And it was more like seeing a bunch of guys out like for a fishing derby.
Okay.
In a way. Because you're all like, oh, did you see anything today? And then you see a guy like tubing one on the side of the road and measuring it and stuff. And so
speaking of measuring it, 42 inches, is that the length of a normal adult male timber rattlesnake? Or like, where does that 42 inches come from? Do you know?
Oh, no, I don't know exactly because I haven't seen enough of them, but it seems like that is a fully mature male. That's a male that is definitely up there in age, definitely well beyond breeding size. And yeah, so he already got his opportunity. Gotcha. And you got to also count the subcaudal scale. So for this particular roundup, it has to have 21 subcaudal scales. So those are basically, if you guys don't know, are the scales that start, underneath the cloaca. And then you can count those. And if we got a male that was about 42 inches, but it was I think it was 19 subcaudal scales. So that's an in-between animal to where you can consider that may possibly be a female.
Really?
Yeah. So even though we had every reason to believe it was a male, it's not a male without any reasonable doubt. So therefore, we let it. We have to put it back, and it can't get measured for the roundup. So.
And you would have gotten in trouble for killing. Well, if you happen to kill you, since you weren't sure. I don't know. It's not like anyone's out there double checking your female male thing.
No, there are though when you submit it to the roundup.
Right. I'm saying if you weren't doing it for the roundup and just like out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if 21 sub. All the other things are state mandated. I'm not sure if the 21 sub caudal scales is.
I don't think so, but they did say it had to be male. So I wonder how do they expect people to be checking if it's male or female out there?
Yeah, they must just be trusting people to do so.
I'm like, no one's looking at it.
And I'm not sure how big females get, so maybe that's a little bit of a determining factor as far as maybe the females are much smaller. Someone in the chat could tell me for real, how big a female gets and stuff like that. But they just want to make sure that there's no doubt for what they find them.
So it's tricky.
Yeah, because the rattlesnake season starts the second week of June, and then it ends August 31st or July 31st. Sorry. So therefore, you only really have a month to do it, and then maybe August 31st, but either a month or two to do it. So, and keep in mind, no one was killing rattlesnakes. I feel like we have to say that again. At this event.
Yeah.
I don't know how the
YouTube's cutting out. No, YouTube's cutting out. We're not showing.
Oh no. Did I even start recording on Audition? Nope. Oh God. That's not good.
The touchscreen's not working. You got okay, we're back.
Oh my God.
I don't know what's happening.
That's not good.
The computer doesn't love us today. Good, we don't have on a guest.
Yes. So I should basically talk about how we got onto this mountain. So I went to Alan's house. His stepdad, I guess, has a quad that he brought out for us, and
has a what?
A quad, an ATV.
I've never heard someone call it that.
Okay, well, that's what I've always called it growing up. So
you never call it four-wheeler?
No, four-wheeler's a thing too, yeah, but we mostly call them quads.
Okay.
So the ATV up, and then it was kind of comical too. I don't know Alan that well, and I had to hop on the back of the four-wheeler, and luckily it had handles, by your hips that you're able to hold on, and I didn't need to put my arms around him or anything Dumb and Dumber style.
And see, another reason why I shouldn't have gone, because where the hell would I have gone in that little mixture?
No, we would have figured it out. You could have gone on the front rack or something.
No, thank you. I will not go up a mountain on the front of a four-wheeler.
Yeah, well, you would if you wanted to see rattlesnakes, that's for sure.
That's the kickers. Do I want to see?
And he also gave me snake-proof gaiters, which was basically the most handy thing of all time. Because I was at first I was okay, that might be a little bit crazy for what we're doing, but
snake-proof what?
Gaiters, you put them on your legs.
They're called gaiters?
Gaiter. Am I saying things wrong again?
I don't know.
Or things that you don't call? But they're basically just these damn things that went around my shins to make sure that snakes don't bite me.
What are they made of that they're snake-proof?
I don't know. It's just heavy material. I'm not sure. It's heavy canvas. I'm not sure what's in there. Someone would probably say it's Kevlar or something fancy, but I don't think
that's intense.
I don't think so. But
yeah, that's good. I'm happy because I wouldn't want you to get bit.
Yeah, and we were just basically going through, or we went up on the ATV, sorry, out of sequence. And this whole mountain is like owned by a timber company. And so the timber company owns the land, but they must like lease it out to the state or do whatever the hell. They have a thing with the state, and people are allowed to be on it if you have a permit. So luckily Alan had the permit, so we were both good to go up there. And then they also built like all these wind turbines on the mountain as well. So which is kind of funny because Sweetwater has a lot of wind turbines
on
too.
the way out there.
Yeah. So there's just a bunch of wind turbines on top of this mountain, and it's like, it's almost like there's always airplanes overhead. Like you don't know how that they actually make a sound until you're right there.
Right under them. So it was super loud up there?
No, it like wasn't super loud, but there was always a low hum.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very high airplane. But so they're also huge.
So is that like where everyone goes to get theirs, or that's just like where Alan has gone before and likes going?
It seems like a good amount of people. You know, people are all going to have their spots, but this was a very popular spot. We probably saw 4 or 5 people looking for rattlesnakes when we were there, which I don't think is a common occurrence. It's only because
of the roundup.
The roundup was literally happening that afternoon is when submission was, and this mountain's literally like right in back of the roundup.
So you didn't have to travel too far.
It's almost like silly that like it's happening because it's literally right there. So yeah, you don't have to go too far. But the way that they log it is, they clear cut one part of it, let the other grow, and then swap back and forth. And for whatever reason, it's just created this habitat that is seemingly perfect for the timber rattlesnakes because there's like these clear roads. And then there's these giant rocks randomly like on the side of those roads. And then it's not like it's grass when you get off the roads. It's ferns.
Ouch.
And it's like, no, they're not prickly. Oh. They're just little green. But like they're so thick that you can't see your foot in front of you. So that's why those chaps, which is what James is calling them, they
snake chaps.
But it was the ones that just go around your shins, but you can't see your foot in front of you. So I'm so glad I had those. It was kind of frightening.
How tall are they? How tall? Like how far up does it go?
They went up to my knee.
The ferns?
Oh
no, not the chaps.
The ferns. They varied. So in the beginning, we're in ones that are like mid shin. And then at some point, we went to a spot where it was like almost up to my chest.
Okay.
And I had to...
I feel like you could step on one so easily.
I needed to use the snake tongs to move, the ferns over to the left, to the right, make sure there was nothing there, take a step, move it over left, right, take a step. So I made sure I didn't step on rattlesnakes. But we got pretty deep in there. We saw a lot of garter snakes.
Okay. Was there like water anywhere?
No, not that I saw. Maybe some swampland, but really that's all you had. And we saw a whole bunch of garter snakes. I caught a garter snake, which sounds easier than it was. Just in that environment where the whole ground was a hide because those ferns were so thick.
Yeah.
It makes you think how snakes really live. Like they are in, like imagine us being in like the thickest redwood forest of all time of giant trees. That's like what these ferns were to these little garter snakes.
That's perfect for them.
Yeah, and I couldn't see them. No one would see them unless you're beating around those ferns.
So it's not like you're flipping, it's not like our normal herping where we're like flipping rocks or flipping. Like there's no flipping. It's just...
He said that kind of like behavior, which herpers usually do, is actually discouraged and usually looked down upon. So they're not moving anything. They're not flipping rocks, doing anything like that. And all the rocks are too big to flip. So we're looking for like transient males that are out looking for females and are probably going, to different dens, or I don't know if they're hiding in these rocks for certain periods and then coming out and then looking for females and stuff like that. But they ended up like just pretty much being in the ferns.
But you still never found one that was big enough, which is surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably just because maybe because we were late in the coming up to the mountain. I mean, it was the day of. Maybe people were there before. I'm not sure because not many people even submitted snakes since we were, while I was there. But I think it's also just you got to get so lucky. You have to get really, really lucky just to catch a random male walking about. Not walking, obviously, but crawling about. And most of these people weren't going as deep in the ferns as we were. They were literally just, you know, just moving around the ferns
stuff
within like 5 feet of the road. So they weren't really trying all that hard, and they were still finding some. Just because, from what I believe, there's a lot of timber rattlesnakes up there, which is really, really cool to see. The fact that this roundup happens every single year, although none of them are kept or killed at the roundup, certainly some people could do that later in the year or at different days, but I don't know. Everything, they just seem to be coming out of the bushes, literally.
Well, that's good. That means that the roundup's, not having an effect on the population or any of the.
And what also blew my mind is how laid back timber rattlesnakes are, because no one gets bit during this. There's guys like drinking beers and hanging out and tubing rattlesnakes. And yeah, so in order to measure them, you got to tube them. So if people don't know what tubing is, you just basically have a cylindrical tube. The one we had was like a heavy plastic, and I know there's some glass ones, but.
So do you put it in front of it and wait for it to crawl in the hole?
Yeah, you try your best to have it just crawl in there, because obviously snakes like small spaces. So hopefully you can guide his head in there, and then once he starts going in, he'll go all the way. And then you hold him before he goes through. And
why wouldn't you have one side closed?
I'm not sure. I was curious of that myself.
Can't go through.
Yeah, we would need to ask some venomous people. Some venomous people probably think we're idiots talking about this, but everyone had to tube the animal in order to measure it and to count the subcaudal scales.
So you have to make sure your tube is longer than the longest possible rattlesnake, right? Because you want the whole thing to fit in the tube, right?
No, because only about half needs to go in the tube, just as long as you can secure that head so it doesn't go anywhere.
Then how are you measuring it?
Well, hopefully you have two people. It makes it a lot easier to measure them. But yeah, it's straightened out from the tube. That's all. And then you
but if half of it's going crazy.
Yeah, no, it's really, they're not going that crazy. Once they're in the tube, they're pretty calm for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And so all these people are doing this and no one gets bit or anything happens. That's a testament to the animals, I think.
Are you using just a regular old measuring tape?
No, or did you only had a regular measuring tape.
Okay. That's so weird.
And thank you, Steven. I saw that earlier. And thanks you for getting
Steven.
A shirt. I appreciate it. And
also thank you, Ryan, for your adjustment to our shirt that we saw. I don't know if everyone else saw.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Ryan Cox put a great story the other day. He was like, "Oh, I love this Theportcitypythons forest ruler shirt. Really comfy. Really like the fabric, but gotta cut the sleeves off."
Classic. Kentucky.
Yeah. Classic Kentucky.
Now Ryan does that, so
true. Just classic boy for the most part. Most boys like cutting those sleeves off. But sorry, completely
cutting those sleeves off.
Completely changed subjects. So you're tubing it, you measured it, and then are you bagging it?
Yeah, so everyone has these. They're like containers that if you go to a restaurant or food service type of place, they'll have these cans of vegetable oil. They usually put the old vegetable oil in it.
Can't imagine. I don't know.
So it's basically this oil can, but it's not like motor oil or gasoline or anything. It's for vegetable oil. And basically they cut holes in those and they use those and they strap them to a backpack.
I wish I had imagine this at all.
Okay, so Alan has this thing. There's a backpack that he had, I guess, for a weed whacker.
Okay.
it was either a leaf blower or a weed whacker, but it basically went on a backpack. So he just took like the backpack part and then somehow got this vegetable oil can onto the frame of the backpack and then made a little place for you to put your tubes on the side of it as well as your measuring device.
So you put your tube and it like falls in the thing?
Yeah, it's like a holster for your little tube thing. And everyone had these. Like it's like everyone made their own little contraption that is perfect for this.
Okay. You're gonna need to ask him to send you a picture. I'm not.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
The only thing I have like even close to it is, remember that episode of Scaled where they made a backpack? It was like one of the first. They made the backpack catcher, and that's the only like.
If we knew Greg and Chris before they did that, I would have showed them
the vegetable oil.
This was like ingenious in a way, and I think maybe a lot of people do that. Maybe that's a common thing in rattlesnake hunting, but obviously we don't really do that, so we wouldn't know. So that was kind of interesting, the ingenuity of that.
Also, because this whole podcast is going to be ADD when it's just us, I would like to acknowledge.
I'm trying to stay in order, please.
What I have to say is doesn't go anywhere in order.
I know, then you don't say it. So, right? Okay. So, and then, what the hell are we talking about? You got me all messed up now. That's you chugging your wine. Are you going to say something?
Don't want to get us out of order.
Yep. And now I have to edit the podcast.
Okay, well, let me say my thing then.
Okay.
The amount of people who told you congratulations because they thought we were getting a venomous snake is very surprising. That means they don't know me well enough.
You need that permit also to get a venomous snake. So,
but I think a lot of people are telling you like congratulations because they thought we were getting one. I was like, why do all these people think I just let him get this? There's no way we will ever get a venomous snake in our house.
Maybe one day.
Nope. Okay, back to what we were talking about. We were talking about the contraption to put the snake in. And then did you ride with it on your back? Back down the mountain?
It was just strapped to the ATV.
And you feel like it's completely like.
Oh yeah, we had like snake hooks, snake tongs. We had a bunch of things.
No, in the back, like you think there's no way it could have gotten out of that backpack?
No, it's obviously like a screw lid. So you kind of got to be an idiot to mess it up. But I mean, I'm sure someone could figure it out. But it's also kind of a deep like reservoir in the way that a timber rattlesnake, like these are some thick snakes. They're not exactly the most
agile.
Yeah, I don't think it would sneak up. I mean, I'm sure it definitely could, but I mean, a bunch of things would have to happen. You'd have to be a total idiot for it to go wrong. So
okay.
But we didn't even get that far, so we didn't put anything in.
You didn't get anything in there, right?
Yeah, so it was probably about 45 minutes in or so, and we pulled over to a rock that Alan had found snakes at before. And we did the same thing, just going through the ferns. And and then I just hear like his tongs go and then like a slight little rattle. And I was like, oh my God. Like I did not, at that point, even though it was only 45 minutes in, I was like, there is no way this is how you find a timber rattlesnake. There's no way that I just go on the side of these roads and start beating ferns and find a timber rattlesnake.
Well, it's not like you're just on a normal road. You know, there's things that set it up for that to happen. The mountain and how they cut it and do this and that, you know. But it's still crazy. In 45 minutes in, you found the first one.
Yeah, when it was also 58 degrees out.
It was that cold up there?
Yeah, because it was early in the morning. So it was 58 degrees, and we're also at elevation. So we're at like 2,500 feet, which isn't a crazy amount, but it's still elevation. And actually, the timber rattlesnakes do really well in elevation. So it's not like you won't find them at the bottom of the mountain.
Okay.
And he picks it up, and to me, I'm like, this is the size of like an adult female ball, like a large adult female ball python. And I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know that these, like, I've seen plenty of canebrakes or timbers in zoos and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, like, rivaled the size of those ones. And this wasn't keeping size. And so I was kind of surprised when we took him up, and all it was trying to do was to crawl away. Like, there just seemed to be a super kind of quiet, want to be left alone, run away kind of a snake. And they're not very fast, but you know, this one wasn't defense posturing or doing anything like that or showing any type of defensive aggression or anything like that. So it was super cool to see it, but unfortunately I was like, damn, I can't get that quintessential rattlesnake picture with it in the defense coil and the rattle in the middle going. And eventually Alan tubed that one. He got it up. We measured it. It was like 41 and a half, 42 if you stretched it out. But then the subcaudals thing, we're like, okay, then that's the deal breaker, because it was probably just about 42 if you wanted to submit it. So, but obviously subcaudal scale is not enough. And so he gave me the tube, which was fun. I probably won't post those pictures because people, I mean, are.
Wow, I need to see these pictures.
No, I showed you. So it's just me holding the rattlesnake in the tube. But I know that for whatever reason, even though there's a bunch of just random guys out here doing it, if I posted that up, I mean, someone would tell me I'm doing it wrong, or someone would tell me it's dangerous, or someone would be like, that's a bad example to set for kids or something. I don't know. But I could tell you that we were under control the whole time, and it was very, like, it was almost surprising how well they were as far as working with. I mean, they were so workable in so many ways. And then we measured him and everything, and we just put it back, and he like barely even crawled back anywhere. He was just going slow. You just like
dump it up. Like, how do you?
No. We just pull on one side and pull from the other and get him out.
Oh, you pull him out?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. Alan did. Yeah.
Oh, I thought if you just like tip
no, and then you pull him out to a certain extent, and then once the head is, because he was like stuck in the tube because he was fat, and he was bigger than the tube, so he had to get out a little bit first, and then put him on the ground, and then
and then whip it out,
whip it out, and get out of the way of it, which wasn't a big deal because the snake was completely calm.
And you said he just kind of ran away immediately, or?
Yeah, he just ran away slowly. Like, he didn't even care. But, I mean, at that point, my day was just made.
Made just off that, the first one in 45 minutes?
Yeah, and they come in two different phases. So, if you've seen canebrake rattlesnakes, like a lot of them, especially in the more southern ranges, are much more tannish brown. And then as you get up north, a lot of them have more black and heavy black coloration. And at least here in Pennsylvania and probably other places, there's black phase and there's yellow phase. And at first I thought, oh, so that's going to mean that the animal's more yellow and the animal's more black. Well, that still happens, but not necessarily. So black phase, yellow phase is determined by the color of the eyes. So the yellow phase is going to have yellow eyes, and then obviously the black phase is going to have black eyes. And there's no saying that the black phase, with black eyes is going to be the blackest animal. So I thought that was interesting.
Did you see a lot of both?
On the mountain we were on, there was only predominantly black animals, and I didn't look in everyone's eye, but the two that we got really close to, they were both black eyes.
Okay.
And black eyes and predominantly black bodies. But when I ended up going down to the roundup, I saw the opposite. I saw ones
you saw all the other ones, right?
And with heavy pattern and stuff like that. So after we found that first one, we went beating through ferns for another like 4 hours, 5 hours. That we found that first one probably at like 10 a.m. Or so, and then it had to have been 12:30 by the time, and we didn't really see
You didn't find
anything.
another one.
Yeah, and then 1:00 we were on our way back. We saw a bunch of guys. We saw a guy tubing one, and he said that there's like a small female back there. They'd seen a bunch of them, and so we had missed
bad
ones that
luck.
they already saw, and then we keep on going down the road further. And keep in mind, it's probably about 1:00 is the heat of the day. And I don't know if this was one who was disturbed by someone else, but this proposed, or we believed to be a female, was just crossing the road.
Huh.
So we were driving back and just saw one crossing the road.
What makes you believe it was a female?
Subcaudal scales.
Okay.
We didn't count them, but it was
smaller.
Yeah, it was far shorter than what would have been deemed a male, at least from what Alan could see. So he's like, yeah, we can tube it if you want to. And I was like, no, don't worry about it.
You got
and this
to see
one,
it.
luckily, this one was mad. So
what do you mean luckily? Luckily that it was just crossing the road and you didn't choose it?
Yeah, well, I think maybe just because it was crossing the road, it was warmed up. So therefore, when we came upon it, it got a little bit defensive.
Oh, okay.
So it started curling up, it started rattling, and then it got into like the perfect defensive rattlesnake pose.
Oh, so is that the one you posted the picture of today?
Yeah. So that's the one I took pictures of, and I took video of, and I took a lot of video. So I filmed the whole thing, so there'll be a YouTube video eventually after I edit all of it, and there's a lot of footage to go through. So, but it was just an amazing experience to be that close to an animal that is so unique to this area. I mean, rattlesnakes are only found in the Americas, and then to be a timber rattlesnake, was America's first national symbol, kind of like how I talked about it on the Instagram post. But so before the bald eagle, actually, the timber rattlesnake was the national symbol for America, and that's why you'll see it. I believe it's still on the Army emblem.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The snake, or the timber rattlesnake, but it's also obviously on the Gadsden flag, the "Don't Tread on Me" flag. And Ben Franklin, for whatever reason, just loved
timber rattlesnakes.
Yeah, and he loved it because it was a symbol of something that is not defensive until you start messing with it, and then once it gets defensive, it never surrenders, right? They just keep on doing their thing, rattling and being defensive, and they don't give up until you die or you go away or they die.
One person surrenders in whatever form
and
it
the snakes, the rattlesnake doesn't really give up. So that was a symbol for America, and it was also on the join or die flag. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of just a symbol of just a very, very unique
resilience or
unique animal,
determination.
And keep in mind that they were much more widely spread throughout the Northeast, and then I believe it was 1800s, early 1900s, there was bounties to kill as many rattlesnakes as you could.
What?
So, yeah, and that was predominantly, very common in New York, which is a place where they're, very, very, at least rare. And I'm sure they're coming back to a certain degree in the Catskills, and I've heard of people seeing them, around where we're from, the Hudson Valley and stuff like that, but they're very, very uncommon. And I believe they're considered either endangered or threatened in New York. And they're also, they're extinct, I believe, in Vermont, or maybe there's a small population in Vermont, or they're somewhere in that, it may be in New England. Or
so where are they most occurring?
Yeah, I was talking to Ryan Reed about this, and he said that they believe that, I guess, besides the cane breaks, which would be like down in Texas and stuff like that, which seem to be doing decent, the timbers up here, it seems like Pennsylvania is kind of the hotbed for them. It's one of the only places where they're as plentiful.
That's interesting then that, considering this might be where they have the most, that the limit is still 1 per year. So I'm assuming no other state allows you to get more.
I'm sure that there are states that don't have limitations at all.
Really? Even though they might have less?
I don't know. It depends how states are run, just like, we've been in Texas and they don't care about protecting any reptile, let's be honest. They just don't care. There's 0 bag limits on Aatrox. You can do whatever you want. I don't think there's a season for them. It was just free reign. And I don't know if that's species specific. I don't know if that also applies to canebrakes. Or, by the way, I think taxonomically they're the same thing, canebrakes and timbers, but most people believe that they're different. So when I'm saying timber, typically I'm talking about the animals to the north, and then canebrakes, the more southern animals. But
that's so
I don't know. I don't know enough about that space to get into that argument.
I'd be interested to see like a breakdown across the country of like, limits on this specific. And so also to that, so you got the specific rattlesnake one in Pennsylvania, or is there other permits
it goes by
for each
state, at least?
No, I'm saying, right, in Pennsylvania, are there is there a oh no, you said it includes copperheads. I'm trying to think of another one.
So you could also bring a colubrid into the roundup to be measured and weighed.
What?
Yeah, so there was a black rat, there was a black racer. And
I thought it was just a rattlesnake one.
No, they try to get like a few different species. They also had a water snake, just so they can actually carry those around and have the kids touch them. And obviously, not obviously, because at Sweetwater they let you touch the rattlesnakes, but
they wanted something for the kids to have up here to touch.
Yeah. So they had a black rat, and
so do you need a permit for all that stuff? Those two, or are those all separate, or no?
I am not 100% sure. It says on the permit, but at least in the roundup, you're given 1 snake, I guess, to put in. And what was cool about that is that the kids got to see different kinds of snakes, and also the colubrids were kept separate from the rattlesnakes. And the colubrids were actually kept in a little wooden enclosure inside of the snake pit, in quotations, that they had, which had rattlesnakes and copperheads in it. And that wooden enclosure had water in it, and they were pouring water in there to make sure all the snakes had water, which I thought was really, really cool. So I guess we are moving on to the roundup itself. So after the hunt ends, pretty much realizing like how cool this is, how many snakes are here, and seeing everyone just pumped up to find snakes, which is something that is so foreign in a way. I never imagined I would see people excited to pick up a timber rattlesnake and tube it and measure it and do all that and just find them. It's kind of weird because, yeah, it's just not a reaction that you typically see other than in other herpers. So to have the people in the general public do that is kind of fun. And to put it in perspective, Noxen, this Rattlesnake Roundup is put up for their volunteer firefighters. So it basically goes to giving them gear and different things to help the fire department. And Noxen is a town of like 635. So obviously it's not a huge event, and it's not something that's very nationally known, but there are guys who do like hunt for all the roundups. They will hunt rattlesnakes every week and find a male and bring it to Noxen, or they'll enter a different roundup for a different week. They all occur during the rattlesnake season, and same rules apply. 1 male, 42 inches, 21 subcaudal scales. And so there's guys who hit all the roundups. So there is some spillover from different places, but you could kind of tell that people knew I wasn't from there, or like people stare at you and stuff like that. But everyone was nice, and there's no like negativity towards snakes at all during the event. It's much different at an event like Sweetwater, where the whole event is made up to like, it's not all made to be scared of snakes, but that is kind of the general outcome, just because you're killing so many snakes there, and just the general attitude of the whole thing. So I walk into the Noxen Roundup, and I mean, it's pretty much, it's kind of like the crowd was interesting. It's a little backwoods, small town type of thing, and so obviously there was like I don't know, things that would make you uncomfortable.
Most definitely.
But everyone was really cool, and everyone was in support of the snakes. And there was like one of those traveling animal exhibits, which had like a forest cobra and a Burmese python. I don't know, I didn't go in there, but they had a Burmese python that they were handing to everyone. And so that was kind of a separate thing, to where they had a truck and they were kind of getting a crowd. And then there was the pit. And the pit is, like I said before, is where your copperheads and your timber rattlesnakes are. And people started submitting snakes at 1 p.m. And they just bring snakes in one by one. And if you see the snake pit at Sweetwater, there's like thousands of snakes in it, and they're kicking snakes around.
Right.
This one, there's like, it's like 40 square feet, and there's like 3 snakes in it. So even though the fact that I guess they didn't have a lot of snakes to show off, it actually, I think, was better off for the animals, and everyone still got to see some cool snakes. So I thought that was cool, that the snakes weren't crowded and nothing crazy was going on. And the guy, I believe his name is Bill, he was doing the education for the show. He was actually really good. Like, he wasn't spreading any fear. He did talk about like his bites that he's taken.
Okay.
But he did mention the fact that, I still have all of my fingers. And he got bit by an Atrox too, which is the worst one. His timber bites were very, very laid back, but his Atrox bite was pretty decent. Overall, though, I mean, I believe his dad had been doing the PA roundups before, so it's like a generational thing. He's been doing it forever, and that's how a lot of these guys were.
Get into it.
Yeah, like the guys who are hunting and doing that, it's because it's a family tradition for years and years. And even though we do see that in Sweetwater, it's different, man, when you're taking one male snake and none of them get killed.
And then releasing it.
Yeah, and they release it. They actually put paint marker on each and every one of them and give them unique markings, so that the person who caught it can literally take it to the exact spot that...
I was just about to ask, are you expected to take it back to the same spot that you took it from?
Yeah, so you have to take it back to the same spot that you took it from. So, yeah, you can't just go release it on some different mountain. And also, what's cool about when they submit snakes is that they have a grad student from East Stroudsburg University, like a herp student, and he's taking all of the animals and he's swabbing them for snake fungal disease. So snake fungal disease, well, that's because there's the internet. We're not with a guest. But snake fungal disease has been going through populations. I mean, I believe it's been seen in garter snakes, but I know it's been particularly hard-hitting to the timber rattlesnakes in the New England area. So they found a bunch of in Massachusetts, I know for sure, they have found fungal disease. And for whatever reason, this fungal disease is causing the animals to get disoriented in the winter. And they will actually, for whatever reason, they'll come out when they should be broodmating. So the snake will literally come out of its den, even though it's still the winter, and basically freeze itself.
Does it just throw off its like temperature receptors, or I don't know.
I have no idea. I mean, you could think like it's heat pits. I mean, the fungal disease affects that area, but right. I really, really don't know. I don't know if anyone does know. I'm sure there's people who are, all into researching that. And obviously this kid was too. I should probably find out who it was, but it was a grad student, and he was taking measurements and weights and swabbing for fungal disease while every animal was coming in. So I found that to be like a cool aspect to where he's getting a survey of the local population of snakes and using, this event that's happening anyway to do so. So
Right.
I thought that was really interesting. And they don't act like they're giving venom to like any venom labs. They don't extract any venom there.
Oh, really? None.
Yeah, they don't do any of that stuff. So, they don't try to sell you that, they're doing any type of good by doing that.
But I wish they would be, or I wish they would actually, partner with.
Well, you can't because there's just sanitary issues. That's why no one would ever take venom from Sweetwater. It's a dirt floor establishment.
Gotcha. There's no one's putting up any labs.
There's no control.
There's no labs.
There's no sterile environment. They're just using saran wrap over a damn cup, and it's a whole thing. But this one was just
it was honest and upfront about what they're doing, and they're not doing anything terrible or harmful to any of the animals. I'm assuming there was no pageant queen for this one.
There was no Miss Noxen. At least, who knows? I was only there for a couple hours. Things may get weird after. Alan was saying, since it's like, the whole town celebration, it's usually people show up late at night, and all like the firefighters and stuff, they all get drunk and go crazy.
Oh gosh.
So it's so
there might be a different side to it that you don't know.
It's just like, no, I don't think they fuck with the snakes at that point, but I think they just see it more as a celebration.
Party. So there might be a Miss Noxen, but she's not dipping her hand in snake blood and putting it on the wall like the Miss Sweetwater.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy, man?
We keep trying hard not to like make this a shit on Sweetwater episode, but it's hard not to compare the two.
But this roundup gave a really, really good example of what could happen at Sweetwater.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it won't have that like impact that will get people from all around the world to come, because for whatever reason, people
there's no pizzazz to the Noxen one.
People like to watch a car crash. People like to see snakes slaughtered by the thousands.
It's pizzazz. Unfortunately, it's entertainment for a lot of people,
which is very sad. And it's sad that because this is a safe, clean event, that it gets less attention. But also, I don't see that they care to build it.
They're not trying to.
Yeah, it's like it's their own thing that they've been doing in their towns forever, and it's a cool tradition. And I mean, you don't need 10,000 people to come and go to it, I don't think, but it's nice that they're all like sportsmen about it, about the rattlesnake collecting and hunting. And
did you talk to people? Like, do most people keep snakes, or is this just a thing they do?
It's funny because I could hear like the one or two guys talk about like, yeah, my boa is that big, like trying to tell people that they're into snakes too. But there was none of that like, ew, kill it type of negativity about it. People were just literally interested in learning more. So,
well, that's good. But yeah, I guess I thought in my mind most people would like keep snakes, but there doesn't have to. It's probably just like a fun thing.
It's like it's a thing that they do every year. There's a little carnival for the kids.
Okay.
So I guess Alan said that they start on Thursday with the carnival stuff, and they have bouncy castles and stuff like that, which I'm sure is a big event for the kids there.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Melissa's trying not to throw up, guys. So the pit was a little bit there was a copperhead in there, and I think it may have actually been Bill's snake, to be honest, the educator. I think he may have brought it because I don't know. I would say copperheads are probably a little bit more rare in that region. And it was there when I got there, which was before submission started. So I think the educator, Bill, just brought a few different species just to make sure that they had diversity. Obviously, like I said, to show to the kids and stuff like that. And there was also like some news channels or small town news channels there, and it was just a cool event to get to film and get to hang out at. And I guess we are coming up on our hour, so we're gonna do just an hour tonight because clearly Melissa's sick and we had a super busy day. I'm glad we just made it on time to do this. But so yeah, Noxen Rattlesnake Roundup was a good time, and it was a nice. We need to support things like this. We need to support events that, even if I understand how disturbing an animal is typically.
Oh, freaking no.
Wow.
I don't even know why you tried to come back.
I don't know. Just so, because I don't like not having an outro, of course.
I don't know if it's the same thing. See, it's still gone here.
Oh, no.
I feel like it's...
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
This is interesting. I can't believe it picked
happening.
up. So I guess Google Hangouts is going away for a reason. Oh, there's the pickup.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. I don't know what he said. Dixie, shh. We're sending a snake off today, so that's exciting. But as usual, Port City Pythons on Instagram, Port City Pythons on Facebook, portcitypythons.com. Our first snake should be hatching in the next 10 days. And so then obviously we want to get a couple meals in them and we will send those out. Thank you so much. And it's gone and I need to go. Oh, I forgot the touchscreen doesn't work. It's done.